What's up?
What's
First
up,
off, I want to say, Christian, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, man.
Really appreciate it. This was the brainchild, I think, of the mix of GC and Steven. They were talking, about Return of the Living Dead. I was like, dude, that's like, from my understanding, Christian's favorite movie. So we got to get him on.
Oh yeah.
Thank you guys for working with me. I'm sorry I had to cancel on you guys. It was totally my fault. I told Steven yes for Monday, but I got to work the next day. My buddy was like, hey man, I'll pick you up at this. And I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot. So thank you guys for working.
Good.
I appreciate it.
No, it sounds like you had a better time. You got to go see Jurassic World.
I'm not gonna say I had a better time because that would be pretty rude, but I did have a good time, and it kind of spoiled me because that was my first time ever doing that mystery movie thing. So I was like going in like, I hope I just see Jurassic Park because I'm not really interested in seeing F1 or Megan 2 that much. I'll stream it when I get it, but I'm not gonna go to theater to see it. But so I got spoiled because now I'm gonna want to go back and do one of those mystery movie things, and I know I'm not gonna get what I want next time.
Dude, you're gonna get like the next Smurfs movie or something like that.
Frozen 3 or something.
Yeah. I just saw 28 Years Later. That was an experience.
Yeah, you know what? I enjoyed it. I didn't really have too much of a problem with it.
I don't know if people watching have seen it or not, but Steven, do you get the connotation about the ending of that movie now?
Yeah, it was. I don't know how. Like, I still feel like I'm like digesting the movie. Like, I feel like it's still early. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that this movie felt like it was more of a departure compared to the previous two. I don't know about like where you were at on it, but
well, I don't know. Like, I love zombie films. I really do. And it's funny because I got a comment like, this movie wasn't about zombies. This movie was more about grief, the loss of a loved one, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't respond to it because it's usually just a waste of time. I'll be honest with you. But I wanted to say that's what makes a good zombie film. Not when it's about the zombies. It has to be about the zombies are the means to an end. Like, what makes a zombie film good is the story, is what's going on with the people. Like, I want to be like, no, you just describe Romero's. That's why Romero's films are so good.
Yeah,
you know,
there's a human element.
That's what I wanted to say. So, but my whole thing was the ending threw me off, like it did most people. But
I know what you're talking about. Now.
Are you
yes.
okay?
Somebody
was like 1, 2 ago.
Well, somebody said, Christian, hold on. That guy is based off of a real child PFD file or PDF file. I can't say the word, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's based off of a real PDF file in England or UK, like a world famous one. I don't think they're actually referencing him as that, but they're doing this person in real life that's a real creep, which makes me say, wait a minute, okay, this could lead to something super dark in the next one. So now that they got me back.
I would
right back in.
Well, and that's what I told Steven was I said, and this is what I said. I said, look, I'm trying to go in which I'm not a fan of when now that they're doing this. They're like green lighting 3 movies all at once. Like, hey, it's kind of, it's like what you said, Christian. It's kind of, there's no stakes to it.
Exactly.
Right? But I did go in the movie knowing that and leaving knowing, okay, hang on, we still have another one. So there's still some more story to tell, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
It's a bad rule of thumb because you've already got it in your head. Okay, they're doing more. Mm-hmm. It's like I want to go to a movie and I want to feel like they left it all out on the field. Yeah. And the only way you get, dude, that's why a lot of those that's why a lot of those horror franchises back in the day, all the sequels feel like different and unique and cool because they left it out on the field. There wasn't no guarantee that they were doing another one. You want to know how they did another one? If it made money, like this triple, dude, I really hate it. I really don't like it. And hopefully they're going back to the drawing board. Like, dude, for a fact they are probably going to work on this New Strangers Chapter 2 thing because nobody liked That one
No.
they did. It was bad. And the first Strangers is, I was there. I was in the theater, dude. People were coming out of the theater in 2008 on that first one.
That was an experience.
You know,
a good experience.
UK Mr. Rogers. It wasn't after said, jeez.
that's some suits that they got me. They reeled me right back. Dude, I like to, dude. It's movies. It's fake, right? Let's go there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
Well,
there.
especially to be a big Hollywood blockbuster as this is, and to really dive into that.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Well, cool. Well, yeah, I guess that'll segue more into zombies, and we're talking about the Return of the Living Dead. What I wanted to ask you guys is, how did you find out about Return of the Living Dead? I think that's a good start. I guess let's go with Christian since you're our guest here.
Sure. I won't make it too long. Long story short, I have to give a little bit of context. The real way to start this story is I was getting ready to go into senior year of high school, maybe junior year, I don't remember. But it was summer. Me and my brother were working a job. We were both working at the same place. We were working at the thrift store, which was amazing. One day I got to do a stream just talking about the crazy stuff I got. Because I live in a pretty wealthy town. Not that everybody here is wealthy. I'm surely not. But there are, like, Carl Malone lives here. Patrick, there's another quarterback that used to play for the Redskins who lives right down the road from kind of right. I could jog to his house if I wanted to. Not that I live in a rich area. But anyway, my point is a lot of wealthy people would donate stuff at that thrift store. So I used to get all kinds of cool stuff. But anyway, one night my brother says, Christian, I want to show you something. And I was just like, what? He goes, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. And he showed me the Angry Video Game Nerd. I don't know if you guys know who that is. And he showed me him doing this episode on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for Atari. And I fell in love with this video. It was hysterical. I had no idea there was an Atari game for it. And I started like watching more of this guy's videos. And this was like 2008 or 9. And then I realized he had a website called Cinemassacre, and he did movie reviews and stuff like that.
I've heard of the channel.
He's a legend. I mean, James Rolfe is his name. He's a legend. He's an OG of movie reviews, video game stuff. And so I found that he had done a website where he has this character, the Angry Video Game Nerd, and he would review all these old video games and make these funny videos, and they were vulgar, and I love them. And around that time, I had really gotten into horror finally, because I wasn't like a big horror fan growing up. But when I went to his website, I saw he had movie reviews. The first 3 movie reviews I watched of his, oddly enough, no, the first 4, I remember them, was Fright Night, Evil Ed, Cemetery Man, and then Return of the Living Dead. And I remember watching Return of the Living Dead, and right at this point, I was going to FYE a lot, and I was every paycheck I would get, I would go drive to the mall, which wasn't dead in 2009.
Yeah.
And I would just basically go there, and I would buy movies, and started buying all the Friday the 13th DVDs and, you know, all that stuff. Anyway, so I remember watching the review he did for Return of the Living Dead, and I was like, before I watched it, I was like, it must be a sequel to Night of the Living Dead or something, whatever. But I watched it, and I was like, holy shit, like, this actually looks like super fun.
Mm-hmm.
This looks really fun. So I watched his review for it. I instantly went to FYE and I found the DVD, and I had never, it's funny, like I'd say like Elm Street 2 was like the first real like 80s horror movie I consciously sat there and watched. But Return of the Living Dead was just the same. Like when I got the DVD and I watched it, dude, I was like shocked at how good it was. I was like, this is hysterical. It never lets up, and I had never admittedly really heard punk music like that before. Like, you gotta understand, I don't know if I'm the youngest here. I'm 33. Like, dude, in 2005, 6, like I remember when American Idiot came. To me, that was punk. Blink-182 was punk.
Yeah, Blink-182 for sure.
That's what I grew up on. Yeah.
Who is TSOL? Who is The Damned? Who is 45 Grave? Like, what? Who is the Cramp? Who are the Cramps? Like, what is Psychobilly? I don't know what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a fast education because I was like, holy shit, TSOL, like they are. Now I'm a huge fan. of TSOL. But that's how I saw it. I'll stop there because I'm sure I can get into a gazillion other things. But I really did love it. It was an A+ movie to me from the first time watching it. Like literally, first time I was like, this is one of the best fucking horror movies I've ever seen.
Well, dude, it scratches every itch that you could have. It just covers everything, which I that's what I like about it.
Yes.
Steve.
Man, I feel so basically when I was initially getting into like the Romero Dead trilogy, I around that time I was trying to get my hands on as many horror movies as possible. Heard nothing but good things about this, like through like my inner circle of friends at the time. They recommended this movie to me, and I just wasn't really sure what to expect first time around. Obviously, it's a little bit of a departure compared to I feel like the overall tone of the Romero trilogy, but yeah, it was just very like this movie reminds me of when I was initially getting into expanding my knowledge of like horror movies at the time and going to the video store and just trying to learn as much as I could. And it's been a staple ever since then, especially around this time, you know, like leading up to 4th of July. I always try to make sure that I at least get a yearly watch on this one. So it's a pretty special movie to me.
Yeah, no, it's a fun movie for sure.
Oh yeah.
What about you, dude?
Man, so for me, I am a little bit embarrassed to admit that I've heard of this movie forever, man. I mean, growing up, and I always thought it was like Christian said, that it was like a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, and I just never got around to it. It wasn't that I never wanted to watch it. I mean, one of my favorite genres is zombies, but I never got around to watching it. And then a few weeks ago, me and Steven were talking about like an episode for 4th of July for my Cinema Rewind series, and that movie came up, and I was like, dude, I've never freaking seen it. So then last week I finally saw it, and man, like I cannot believe like I went this long. Like Jordan, like you said, man, I scratched every itch. There was stuff going on in that movie that I did not expect. Like I went into it blind. I didn't see a trailer for it. And I kept thinking it was going to be like, okay, it's going to be like a horror movie. But yeah, like it was like the comedy aspect, the cemetery scene. I mean, I was just like, man, I'm going to have to watch this another few times to just kind of really process this.
Nice. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat in a way with GC because I watched it, I feel like years, like I was young. And then I never revisited it. And then it kind of got brought up again because of this. And that's when I was like, oh, I got to go pick it up because I was going to get it at one point. And other movies just took precedence for me. So I went back and yeah, the movie is phenomenal. Like you said, it's hilarious. I think Frank is the funniest character in that. I love Frank. I adore him. He's the best. But I mean, you got the comedy, like you said, the horror, the crazy Linnea Quigley scene. I think we all know what you're talking about when you said the cemetery scene.
Oh yeah.
But also you two can correct me better if I'm wrong. It is in a way a sequel to Night of the Living Dead because it's kind of during that whole split, he went and took the Living Dead idea and then Romero took, the whole Dead series. And it kind of, in a way, it is in like a pseudo sequel.
It all depends on how nerdy you want me to get.
Dude, go full nerd.
Listen,
I'm here for
do
it.
No judgment, man.
I have a little bit of a PhD. So John Russo and George obviously worked on Night of the Living Dead together, and they co-wrote the movie. John did most of it. They kind of went their separate ways. They had a lot of creative differences after Night. John wanted to come back and work with George on a sequel to Night, and they were split. So they amicably split. And George did not keep the light. He could not use Living Dead. He couldn't use it. That's why it's not Dawn of the Living Dead or Day of the Living Dead. It's Dawn of the Dead. John retained the rights to the title of The Living Dead, and he wrote a screenplay, and he actually penned a novel that I have. I should have grabbed it. I could probably text my wife and get her to bring it. a not novel for Return of the Living Dead. That's very much a spiritual and literal sequel to the original film. It's dark and very dark in tone. It's not funny at all. Tom Fox, the guy that produced the film, was like a banker or something and wanted to get into the movie business. Got involved with John. They were going to do Return of the Living Dead, obviously. They were going to work on it now. It's right around the time of Day of the Dead is all going on. Toby Hooper gets signed on to do the movie. He bails because he has to do stuff where he took like a 2 or 3 picture deal with Canon. I think it was 3 pictures. And then Dan O'Bannon wanted to direct the film. He was kind of an up-and-coming name, but not really. He had been around for some time, but he wanted to direct. He had never directed before. Obviously, he wrote Alien, and I think he did Dark Star with John Carpenter, which...
He did Dead and Buried, too, wasn't it?
He wrote Dead and Buried, which is... God damn, that's such a good movie.
Yeah, Jordan, take notes. I've been trying to tell him to watch this movie.
I know. I need to watch it.
Dude, listen, that I think Blue Underground put it out.
Yeah.
Dude, listen to me. It's really good. It's really good. Anyway, but that's how good Dan O'Bannon is. He hated John Russo's script. He said, "This is terrible. I don't want to do this at all." And the movie that you got is all from Dan O'Bannon's head. And when Dan got the gig, Tom liked Dan a lot. Tom was producing the film. Dan gave Tom Fox, the producer, gave Dan the job. And Dan said, "We're not doing John's script." John had no say at that point.
Wow.
So, but to John Russo's credit, when the movie came out, he goes, "Oh, this is fantastic. This is amazing. This is absolutely fantastic." I love John Russo. I could talk about him for hours. But that's really how that all went down. Legally, George could make a sequel off of the movie of Night of the Living Dead, but couldn't call it Living Dead. And John was going to he could do his own thing. He retained the majority of the rights, so to speak. But when Dan came in, he didn't want to do John's movie. Their thing, John's movie, they were going to have to spike the heads of the people that were dead. They had to literally destroy the brain to kill the zombies. And it was a totally different kind of movie. It was very bleak. I actually read the book. Y'all got to eBay it. I'll see if I can go grab it here in a minute. But that's how that all went down. But so John and George, they never from I've read John's books and stuff, and John said that they never really fought. Him and George never had a problem. They just had creative differences. So they went different ways. So
well, that's what I wanted to bring up, because I know I watched the More Brains documentary, or at least I tried to watch it. I didn't realize it was 4 freaking hours long. Jesus. So I didn't get to finish it, but I saw, John Russo, he was like, "Hey, look, to this day at the time, fortunately, George A. Romero was still around, but he's like, look, we're still good friends." But the story, I can't imagine. I wonder what George Romero's take on the whole thing is, because he said, like, we constantly went to court to try and fight to get this rights, but he goes, but we're cool. But we're cool to this day. I wonder what George Romero's, what he thought about the whole thing, because I've never heard his side of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think George was probably an old school guy that he's never going to air out, stuff. I think he just keeps a lot of that private out of respect. They had problems during Night of the Living Dead 1990, with John and George, and John writes all about it. And he did a book called The Illustrated History of Return of the Living Dead 1990, which there's a lot of stuff I didn't know about. But yeah, they had problems there. But even then, it was always professional. It was never F you, we don't know what you're doing stuff. They didn't see eye to eye that very well after Night of the Living Dead. But it is nice that I've never seen John say anything bad about George. So that's actually really, it's really commendable.
I mean, I would argue, though, that at least, we got the best out of the situation, because obviously Romero went on to do his own thing, and then we got this as a result. I mean, if that was the case, or they used like John's script that was written, that would have been a crazy different tone to the film, right?
And it would have. And George is my favorite director, but do not ask me to put any of George's zombie films up against Return of the Living Dead. Don't ask me. because it literally will feel like.
Christian will save it for the end.
I mean, Return of the Living Dead's my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what?
O'Bannon is not to be fucked with. Like Dan O'Bannon is one of the best at what he does.
Okay. Well, what about Zombie? Lucio Fulci's Zombie.
Ooh.
Very, very close.
I'm gonna put you. I'm gonna put you on the spotlight there, Christian.
No, I don't think. Okay, it's fine. I'll answer.
No,
it.
I'm just messing with you.
No, but I'll answer it. Zombie, I'll take over. I think Zombie is as good as Dawn of the Dead, and I only like to compare those two because I think Zombie is Dawn of the Dead technically overseas, and so Fulci's film is Zombie 2 over there. It's so impressive how good Fulci's Zombie is.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about Fulci that is like he is like this renegade. F all y'all, watch me do.
What's up, Chase?
What's up, dude?
But I don't think Zombie's better than Return of the Living Dead. No. But I love Zombie. Zombie's my favorite film.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Christian, I got a question for you, man, because it just out of nowhere I had this whole like mind blown, like freaking math all over my head type situation when I was watching the movie.
Yeah.
The billboard or whatever in the movie that says you need a this and like this and that.
Yeah.
That's where I saw it twice in the movie and I'm like, dude, no way.
Does it make sense?
Yeah. I was like, okay, you need a candle.
Well, I didn't even notice that was your podcast. And then it was funny.
Yeah.
I don't know where I found it, but I found your guys as you and Nick did a full breakdown of Return of the Living Dead. So I was like, well, we're going to listen to this. So that's funny. So you placed it up, other parts with Unita.
Yes. Yeah. So
very clever.
The podcast still goes too. What ended up happening is as my channel started to grow a little bit more, and then I started having a little bit more responsibility, I couldn't record them as often. We were doing one a week, man, 2.5 hour podcast, one a week. So I told him I got to backpedal, and I let him, I kind of not necessarily gave him the show because I mean, it's me and him. It's not like it's not like we would replace each other on it, but because I couldn't do it as often, I said, hey, as my way of apologizing and thanking you for understanding, let's do the show on your channel. So it still happens. We just do it on Nick's channel now. And then Unita Candles was just natural. When me and my wife have wanted to start our own small business for so long, and we were trying to figure out a name, and I was like, Unita Candles, and I like it. So,
yeah. Well, and I don't know if you did this intentionally, but I'm just saying your intro music sounds like the theme song.
Oh, I literally recorded that. I listened to it, and then I just figured out the notes, and I played it on keyboard and did the guitar part. It's literally like the zombie stomp, whatever it's called in part 2 when they're coming out of the grave. Mm-hmm. That's all. But it's like more, it's more synthy instead of like that poppy version in the movie. Yeah, that's literally what it is.
That's funny. Yep. Cool. Well, the thing with Return of the Dead, it does such a good job, honestly, of balancing the horror and comedy. Like it gets you the good horror aspect, but then it gives you that good relief of comedy. It just blends it so well. Like I was watching it, my favorite scene, it's just Little Line Frank does, and I forget his name. The guy they're training at Union Medical Supply.
Yeah.
He's kind of going around showing him like, hey, here's this,
Tom Matthews' character.
Yeah, what was Freddie? Is it
Freddie? Yeah. See, my problem is I confuse them. I watch them so often. Sometimes I'm like, is it Joey or is it Freddie? Because part 2 he plays him. He's
that's right,
but he's a different name.
Yeah,
so I'm confused. I got to stop.
He goes
for a second.
He's like, talking about the skeletons, PT of these from India, all this crazy stuff.
Yeah,
and then he talks about the half-cut dogs, and he goes, that's what this sport's for the vet school. And then Freddie goes, makes that sound. He goes, hey, knock it off. You're learning here. All right. Now let's keep going.
Yeah.
Dude, that I don't know if you can tell me, and I know I'm biased, if you can tell me, name me another horror movie where you fall in love with 2 characters that fast. It's tough.
Yeah.
Like, fall in love with Frank and Freddie very fast.
Harold and Kumar.
That's actually a pretty good one. Like, dude, everything Frank says is fucking hysterical. And the stuff that's really not even supposed to be too funny is what I find the funniest. Like, keep the pot roast, honey. Kiss, kiss. Like, shit like that.
Yeah.
I just die laughing at it.
Oh, yeah. No,
You know?
everything. He's like, oh, the good, what does he say? The good old, what is
Uncle
it? The
Bert's paid for this.
military.
Don't be stingy when he's putting in the little popcorn things with the skeleton.
Yeah.
Or Freddie
Make him
Moore.
comfortable.
That's nice. Very nice.
Yeah. But what do you think that it, so how does it, I want to pick your guys' brain, blend so well, the humor and the horror aspect of it?
I mean, I would say it's subtle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't hit you over the head with it. And on repeat viewings, there's more stuff that you pick up on. That's kind of what I noticed, because when I initially watched it, like way back when, and then revisiting years later, it kind of like, I don't know, I felt like aged really well for me. Just an overall good sense of humor throughout the movie, and it's I don't know, it's like the perfect blend, I swear.
It's almost like the humor doesn't really ever stop. It's just kind of just sprinkled throughout, and you just it's like almost a constant. But like you said, it's not in your face the whole time, which is nice
For sure.
It's like it reminded me of like Shaun of the Dead in a way, except obviously like it's more serious, but that humor is so subtle. Like, it's so subtle, man. And they're just putting those breadcrumbs of it's. You could tell they're making fun of during that time, like certain stereotypes, and like it was definitely. I did not mind it at all. Like, I thought it was gonna get very like slapstick and stuff, but I mean, especially how clean like the humor was. Like, it was almost like they were being serious, but not. I thought it was pretty cool.
It's one of the great things about this movie. I don't know if Jordan, if they talked about this yet in the documentary, but they gave him, I think it was James Cameron was like, give us 2 weeks to rehearse. And they got to rehearse, which I think is probably crucial for one of the reasons this movie works, because a lot of comedy and stuff is timing, and they knew how not to, they you could just tell everything was, all that stuff was, I mean, even if it was like on a stage, like on a play, the timing and rhythm of them, especially in that beginning, it's perfect. Like, everything moves fast. They don't linger on something that's supposed to be. And they honestly, I think it works because they play it, even though it's humorous with the stuff that he says, James Cameron, he's playing it straight.
Yeah.
You know, he's not trying to be a goofball. It's like just playing this happy-go-lucky, 50-something guy that's training this young buckaroo, and it's Friday, so everybody's in a good mood. He's getting ready for the weekend, 4th of July party tomorrow. Like, everything just makes sense.
Don't name it after me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just, dude, it's so funny when, especially like when he's like, starts telling them the story about like, oh, we got that barrel and stuff. And Joey is just like, he's so into it.
Has that campfire story kind of feel to it, where like, coming closer, like, you're not supposed to know about this.
I even found myself watching, even on repeat viewings, leaning in and listening, because you hang on, he sucks you in with that story, and he does so well with that.
The best.
And, I loved the innocence too. I mean, when do you see a movie like this, like a horror movie, where every character is just looking after each other? Like every other horror movie, there's always somebody that runs off or tries to get away, and like even in the beginning when Joey's like training, and I'm assuming he just met him, he's doing the training with him, and he's still, even when the whole gas goes off in their face and all that stuff, and they're both like feeling like crap, they never once like just try to do their own thing. They always stick together, and they're like checking on each other, and like it was just a very, even the punk rock group, like they were all like looking after each other, and there wasn't a single one that just ran off and they're like, screw you guys, like I'm gonna save myself, like most modern movies now.
Well, Tina kind of ran off. She went off to go find Freddie.
Yeah, but she did, like with the intention of finding someone. Yeah,
right, right. Yeah. Well, then, so they all got to have rehearsals, and there was one. Was it Clue? The guy who played Bert. He was put in last minute, right?
He was. Yes, he was.
Which you couldn't tell.
No, not at all.
You couldn't, but Clue was already a TV icon by that point. He had done so much work. I mean, he was a true professional. So you could throw him into anything. And it's so funny because just on like a whim one night, I was just Googling his stuff, and he had done so much stuff at that point. It's kind of like Fulci. Fulci didn't just start directing movies in the mid 70s and doing these horror films. Fulci was doing
The westerns
in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. But yeah, Clue was a true pro. Came in there, and I think everybody had a lot of respect for him. He did not get along with Dan, the director. There's stories of them fighting, and Dan, there's a lot of crazy stories about Dan. Like he was I think he might
was he kind of difficult to work with?
Well, he was a brute. Like he would grab the actors. You come here. You're gonna stand here. Once you do 3 steps, hit your mark. Go, like he was. I think he was a left brain, right brain kind of guy. If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was very, very smart, but didn't know how to. So like, he was very, very smart, but didn't know how to. He didn't know how to express himself in a way that is rational. I mean, Beverly Randolph tells a story. It's fucking hysterical. She said she was going to Dan's house to read lines to audition, and she goes to his house, and the coffee table is flooded with weapons, guns, and then there's porn on the TV. And she said she flooded. She ran out of the house. You can have one, Dan. You can either have porn on the TV, or you can't have both.
That's fucking funny.
You can't have both. You can have one of the two.
That's hilarious.
So he and one of the girls was from the strip club.
Yeah. Forget her name.
The one with the blue kind of dress with the fro hawk hair she had. Jules is the actress's name. Jules something.
Yeah. Casey was her name.
Yeah. She was a stripper. So
interesting.
Yeah. He met her at the strip club. I remember them talking about that in the documentary.
Mm-hmm. So that's Dan O'Bannon for you.
He's wild. He sounds crazy.
Well, the cast works on so many levels. Like I couldn't picture any other actors or actresses taking on any of these roles in this movie. And there's just something about the chemistry. I think that you guys were talking about like Frank and Freddie and how well they work together. But I would say just as a whole, cast is phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, even down to Miguel Nunez. It's just like they got it. They truly got it. And I forgot the casting woman. She was in that documentary too, but like at first they were going to get real, like authentic. I think they wanted to audition authentic punkers to be in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, no, we can't do this. Like they can't, like they were toying with it at first, but I think the best out of the group is probably it's either Trash. I mean, because Linnea is great.
Oh yeah.
But I really like Suicide. Like that's right. I keep getting I forget the actor's name. He passed away. Like Mark Venturini. That's
He was in Friday the 13th Part 5.
He was Mark Venturini. Yeah. Suicide was awesome. Like he just looked so crazy in the movie, and this stuff
like he just wanted to be appreciated.
Yeah, there's more there. There was more there with him, but I don't know if you guys all know about the Brian Peck thing.
Oh yeah.
Kind of do.
Oh, we were talking about that prior to recording this episode.
Which is crazy.
I had no idea.
Realize that was him. Like he obviously looks nothing like him.
And Scuzz doesn't really have a whole. I think one of the most notable lines he has is, "We could go fool around in there for a while." When they're driving to Resurrection Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a whole lot of lines.
Is that the one that gets pulled through the window and he does have like high pitched like girl like scream?
I think so. And the thing is too, you never see him come back as a zombie.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
Or Mark Vannerini. You don't see Suicide come back either as a zombie.
It's interesting.
You know?
Imagine that. Huh.
Maybe
A lot
it's off screen. I don't know. Who knows?
a lot of Friday the 13th alums in this movie.
Yeah, you got Venturini, you got Miguel Nunez. I wonder which one he did first. It had to have been Return of the Living Dead before Friday 5. Yeah, it had to have been. But
were they the same year?
Well, I'm pretty sure ROTLD filmed. I don't know. You know what? I have to go look that up. But yeah, both of them were from ROTLD and right into Friday 5. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they both did release in 85. So one was
like
before the other. Pretty close.
Yeah, Return of the Living Dead came out after Part 5. And then obviously Tom Matthews as well.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
3 of them.
Yeah, I keep going back to your whole Dan O'Bannon thing and how he treated everyone. It's just kind of, he was a rough around the edges kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
That was his directorial debut. So your first movie and you're going to act, I think it's crazy. Like the kind of guy he was. Yeah.
He's done some other stuff that I've seen. I actually really like the movie. He didn't work on all of it. I think he actually got pretty ill around that time, but he directed a movie called The Resurrected. It's a H.P. Lovecraft film starring Chris Sarandon. It's actually really good. It's funny. I remember when Scream Factory put it out, I was really excited and I bought it. And I'm looking around. I'm like, guys, this is Dan O'Bannon. Did anybody else get this? And no, nobody has it. I mean, I don't know if you guys have it. It's actually a really, really good movie. And I remember I interviewed Richard Bann last year, and he was like, "Thank you for talking about that movie. Like, that movie's fucking good, right?" I'm like, "Yes, it's really good."
I'll have to check that out.
Richard Bann did the music for it. Dan O'Bannon directed it. It stars Chris Sarandon. It's really good. And Dan O'Bannon did most of it, but he got sick. I forgot who came in to work on it. Who came in to finish it, I mean. But other than that, I don't know a whole lot else of what Dan did. I'm sure he worked on a lot of stuff. I think he worked on a lot of like script rewrites and things like that. But
he did the writing for Alien too.
Yeah, which is probably his claim to fame, is writing.
Yeah, wild.
So, yeah, I was trying to look to see what else he did. I mean, he did some like he just did like small little things on a bunch of different films.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did something for the Life Force that says, which I don't know what it was.
He had a writing credit, I think, for Heavy Metal.
Okay, looks like it was adapted by him and Don Jacoby for Life Force. So yeah, I don't know.
Wild. What a resume.
Well, at least as a writer, yeah. I mean, Alien.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Man, oh man. Yeah. No, it's a great movie. And then the zombies too. Like you've got these zombies that are intelligent, which is that was new. That wasn't a thing before. They kind of invented that whole thing of having intelligent zombies. Like you have the ones there jumping into the cop car asking for more police and more paramedics because they need more brains.
It's more brains.
It's really insane. As far as I know, there may be instances before this, but I think Return of the Living Dead really cemented the brains thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of people out there that don't like fast moving zombies. It is what it is. I see both sides of the coin. At the end of the day, though, Return of the Living Dead doesn't work if the zombies are slow because it's a punk rock soundtrack. There's not a song on the soundtrack that has a BPM lower than like 150.
That's true.
Imagine hearing like, I don't know, just every song's fast in the soundtrack. You can't have it would just be so jarring, But I like it. I think I actually like faster zombies than slower zombies. The context, when the context is right anyway, but
there's something really scary about that concept.
Oh,
though,
dude.
I feel like, I mean, it's they're not slow moving or just kind of aimlessly wandering. I mean, they're basically running at you with a purpose, and the idea of that is just absolutely terrifying.
One of my favorite moments in this movie is there's a little person. I think that's the correct way to say it now. Little person.
Careful.
And it's kind of a famous image. They've used this image on, it might have been like the UK vinyl. But there's a moment in the film, if you guys watch closely, you'll see it. After the ambulance scene, all the people are running out, the zombies are going this way, they're going that way. And there's a moment where you see the little person zombie.
Yep.
And he starts trotting, and he slips, he's about to bust his ass. The camera cuts and it goes to a different moment. If you watch it back, you'll see he's about to completely bust his ass. It's the funniest shit. But Dan cut it right as he went like this, and he went like that. He slipped and his body just started going sideways. Cut right back into the cemetery, not the mortuary. It's the funniest.
Yeah.
It's the
I don't
funniest.
remember this.
You gotta, when you watch it again, it's a little person zombie. He's nasty looking, and he starts running up after everybody else is going. All of a sudden, he slips in the mud. He starts going down. And it cuts real fast.
See if you can see it. Right?
Yep.
If you can see it.
It's a little dark, but yeah, I think I can.
Oh yeah, here I can. Let me.
You gotta watch that. It's so funny.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
It's such a funny.
That's hilarious.
Dude,
go ahead.
Those zombies that like attack them they're nasty looking.
Yeah,
they truly look diseased, and they look fungal, and they look gross.
Mhm.
Like they look like they are part of the earth. Like they really just look muddy and clay-like. If anything, they're the most American zombies to look like Italian zombies, which is actually kind of cool.
I would agree with that.
You know what I mean? Like those Italian zombie films, like a lot of them, they just look like earthy.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about part 2 is not that at all, but I love part 2 for very different reasons. But the crudeness of part 1's look, I mean, dude, and the way Dan never lingers too long on them, but when the paramedics are going out to there to like get stuff, and then they get swarmed, dude, it's crazy shit. And those zombies, like if you watch that shit, like they don't come out and like start reaching, dude. It's almost like what makes it so freaky is it almost looks like they're just getting mauled or jumped. Like they went to the wrong part of town, and because they just come out, they go to grab. It's wild shit. That's what makes it work, man.
Very chaotic energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's like a turf war at the freaking cemetery.
That's exactly what it's like. It's like, you're not supposed to be here. We're gonna, it's good shit, man.
Man, like I gotta say too that with like the whole debate too with fast moving versus slow moving zombies, I think it really depends on what you're trying to make the audience feel. Like for me, I've always enjoyed the fast moving zombies if I want to be uncomfortable and I want to be scared, because usually, like for example, like shows like The Walking Dead, they're trying to focus on the characters and the storyline. So they kind of just have the zombies there, like moving around and wandering and stuff, because they're focusing on these characters. But then these movies where they have these fast-paced zombies, like in World War Z, they're trying to show you like the bigger world. Like they're trying to make it into something bigger when they have like 100 different zombies tearing people apart, and they're trying to give an example of like the drasticness of the situation. And in this movie, it was like you said, man, like it was so great to see these zombies just. It's like they literally came back from the dead with the aesthetic but then also the way they're just grabbing these people was so, you could tell they were human, just the way they were just grabbing and it's almost like they're like rabies filled, like they're just pissed and
Yeah, like they're rabid.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, man.
That's a good way to put it.
That's
Well,
such
yeah,
a
I
good
mean,
movie.
they're still human. I mean, they had a full on conversation with the half corpse.
With the brain, that I loved, man. I love that
Yeah, I
explanation.
love that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost very scientific. I mean, we have so many we have like serotonin, so many things in our brains, and then it's like they're trying to numb that pain, so they're eating brains to get, like, they're, without them explaining it, they're getting that chemical from the brain, and
Well, yeah, I mean, they explain in the movie that the process of dying hurts.
yeah.
I forget who it was talking about it. Yeah, he just hurts. I was wondering when World War Z was going to get brought up.
You know,
What's that?
It's a solid explanation too. You know,
Mhm.
It's even plausible.
Do you guys, all these years later, do you guys feel like the practical effects still hold up for you, like on rewatch, all these years later?
Tarman. I mean, we got to talk about Tarman. I think he looks great. The one that takes me out of it for a split second is the yellow corpse.
The cadaver.
Yeah, when they cut off his head and he's sitting there, just that one shot. But other than that, I think it's all fantastic.
So this is where you guys need to, as a matter of fact, let me see if I can grab it. Let me see if I can get this book real quick.
Cool. Let's go over here real quick.
It's called The Complete History of Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, wow.
Right here.
Okay.
That's
I
sick.
can find the page that has the... So Bill Munns was the special effects guy who got fired on the film. Right? And his side of the story is he had no money, and William Stout, the guy who basically was in charge of the movie, he was in charge of the design of the film and the look of the film. He said, this guy's terrible. William Stout got him off the set. This was the initial design for the cadaver when they cut his head off and he was going to move around.
Wow.
Oh boy.
So
that's rough.
But William Stout, so Tony Gardner did that, the half corpse. That was not that was not Bill Munns. Bill Munns did, I think he got fired before they finished the cadaver, but Bill Munns did do Tarman. He got Tarman right.
Well, I think with Tarman too, you also have the actor, and I can't think of his name, but I think without him, I don't know if Tarman would really work.
Trotman, the legend, Alan Trotman.
Yeah, just the way he moved, his just lankiness and just everything is really, I think, what gave the believability to Tarman himself. On top of obviously the practical effects of it. And
there's naked pictures of Linnea in here. I'm just making sure there's not, but yeah, there's a picture.
Flagged.
Yeah,
picture of him getting in the suit.
Incredible.
Now, there's something about Return of the Living Dead that's interesting with Tarman. The initial release of Return of the Living Dead, it's kind of a nerdy thing, but when Tarman, when they go down into the basement of the supply house and they all run into Tarman, he goes, brains, more brains. His voice is very deep. But if you watch the original VHS release, it's very high pitched. Changed it. I don't know why, but they changed it for home video. But the original Tarman voice was not chipmunk like, but it was like high pitched, kind of like shriek like. And I don't know why they changed that. I guess maybe, I don't know if Dan O'Bannon didn't like that after a while, or.
Well, Christian, maybe you know, because I feel like with different releases, didn't they have also variation in the soundtracks as well, or certain select songs that were used for certain releases?
Correct. So they used Enigma Records to do, I believe it was Enigma to do the soundtrack, which basically means like a lot of times back in the day when movies would come out, some directors, they get carte blanche. Maybe if you're like a Rob Zombie type, you have relationships with the music studios and you can get favors and you don't have to worry about record labels and using different record labels to get a bunch of songs because they cost a lot. So what they did back in the day was they would go to a record label and partner up with them and say, hey, we're doing a film. We're looking for these kinds of bands. Hook us up. So all the artists that do songs were on Enigma Records.
Oh, I
Okay.
didn't realize that.
So if you get the soundtrack on LP, cassette, which I recommend, I think Return of the Living Dead has a phenomenal soundtrack. There was a song by The Damned that again might be on it might have just been on the theatrical run, but something happened with them. They wanted more bread. They got a worse deal. Something happened, but they got replaced. Or just the music got shifted around. I'm always bad about remembering the specifics of what got replaced with it, or if it just got absolved. But yeah, there was that. But as far as everything else, I think TSOL, Burn the Flames, the singer's name, he had a weird name. Burn the Flames, which I love that song. A lot of that stuff remained where it is in the film. There wasn't a whole lot of moving around, but I do miss that, man. Like, there was just a time back then where studios would work with the record labels, and the soundtrack would come from bands off of that label. For instance, Elm Street 4 was Chrysalis Records. I'm sure you guys remember Chrysalis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All those artists, Vinnie Vincent Invasion, the Sea Hags, Go West, the Vinyls, they were all on Chrysalis Records. So that's why if you get the music from the motion picture for Elm Street 4, it's a Chrysalis Records LP. And that's a part of movies that I miss so much because, there is a record industry today, but not really, and
No, not like it was.
Yeah, that was at a time where there were sub-labels, like Enigma Records. So that all gets absolved, corporate entities buy those up. It's either under Sony now or whatever. Now, they're pretty good about when they reissue these labels, these records, they make them look as original as they can. I think they even have the Enigma logos on them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's another thing that makes this film so special is, man, it really brought bands that the average person would never listen to because they wouldn't know really where to find it. If you live in a town like I do, there's no punk scene, much less for bands like TSOL, even much less bigger bands like the Dead Kennedys or stuff like that. I mean, these are underground bands. 45 Grave. Who's heard of 45 Grave? We would go the rest of our lives without ever hearing of who 45 Grave is without Return of the Living Dead. Even the Cramps. Like I'm sure I would have heard the Cramps, especially, with the Cramps are kind of an exception because movies love the Cramps. I mean, they used the Cramps in Wednesday when that show came out with Jenna Ortega. But yeah, dude, that's one of the things about these movies that I love so much was the way they used music. And it's so funny. You can't see it, but right, my poster right there on the one sheet below the tombstone and everything, it says featuring songs by, and it even lists all the bands that are on the soundtrack, which is just so cool. So I don't know if you guys have, or I don't know if any of you guys are LP guys, vinyl guys, or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm slowly getting into it. It's a dangerous territory for me.
I thought that was table, but I couldn't tell. I like your. Is that like a street light, like a red, like a?
Dude, so that street light is from back in, I think it's from like the 70s.
I love
And my girlfriend's dad, at the time, he was like in high school, and they were decommissioning these and upgrade them to the new ones.
You got that?
Wow.
So he got it, man. He got it, and then
That's cool.
he gave it to me. He was trying to get rid of it. He's like, "Hey, do you want it? I know you collect like vintage stuff. Like that bubblegum machine is a vintage, and I turned it into a lamp." And I
is
cleaned it up
cool.
and fixed it. And dude, this thing is all like it opens in the front, like it fully opens. You change the bulb. I rewired it for safety reasons because that was not safe. But
The red
Yeah.
light looks gigantic up there.
yeah, no, it's big, dude. Yeah, that light is huge.
Oh, I'm not
on top.
tripping. It's double the size.
Yeah, it is. It is.
They really
You gotta
wanted,
let them know to stop.
they really wanted people
Yeah.
to stop.
Dude, seriously. And back then, those cars weren't even hitting those speeds, man. And it's funny as hell.
Hey, the
Yeah.
brakes weren't as good. They needed more time.
Yeah.
Dude.
That is wicked cool.
Yeah, man. I got the record player right here, and then
What do you got? Like, what kind of player you got? Something you got like a Audio Technica or just something simple?
Dude,
Or
so it's an Insignia, which it has the Audio Technica like needle. And my buddy told me it's pretty much an Audio Technica on the inside. It was
Yeah.
just like the Insignia brand, but I got it. I think it's like $100 and something record player. I got it for like $40 on sale at Best Buy. So
dude, I tell you, if you don't have the Return of the Living Dead soundtrack, you need to get it. Like you can get it. They've reissued it plenty of times. I think you'd fall in love with it if you just let it play, dude. Like
Mhm.
there are the songs work so. I mean, probably the most prominent, and I ended up becoming a huge fan, was SSQ. Tonight We'll Make Love Till We Die. That
Mhm.
song, and the movie doesn't even do the song justice, if I'm being honest. Like you hear it when she's up there dancing and stuff,
Yeah.
but it's a beautiful, great, haunting song.
yeah.
It's so catchy, and you got to listen, you got to enjoy the song outside of the movie and just listen to it. It's so good. It's, the record's fantastic, and I recommend owning it on vinyl. I have an original, but I mean, you can get the reissues, and they got if you, I mean, I don't know if you care or not. I'm old school. I prefer black vinyl. The
Yeah.
color stuff is fun. A
Mhm.
lot of times you don't have a choice. They just do, like TerraVision. I love TerraVision. I try to tell. I don't know if I've told Brad this, but I want to be like, dude, just make it classic black. But worlds, because people do.
Yeah.
And Brad might actually agree with me on that, but he also knows what the demographic is for vinyl collecting now. But I recommend getting it, man, and just jamming it, because it is a perfect body of work. All those bands, they sound like they're all cut from the same cloth. It just works so well,
Dude, I would love that, man, because there's another one that I wish I could find the vinyl. I don't even know if it exists or not, but the soundtrack for the movie Brain Scan,
Oh yeah, dude.
dude,
Oh.
fantastic. Or the Hackers soundtrack. I have both of those on CD, like the original ones, but so freaking fun, man. Sometimes, like when I'm working, I just listen to like the Hacker soundtrack. Those are usually my go-tos when it comes to when I'm trying to focus and work, just because they really get me in the zone. But I mean, that's one thing I wanted to touch on, man. The soundtrack for Return of the Living Dead is just fantastic.
A1.
Yeah, like I love punk rock, so like to me that was just perfect.
Christian, did you get Return of the Living Dead 2, the vinyl soundtrack from TerraVision?
Brother, not only did I get that, but I have the music from the motion picture soundtrack from 1988
Yeah.
with Joe Lamont, Anthrax,
Ooh, Anthrax, hell yeah.
Julian Cope, Leatherwolf. It's I literally could talk for hours about part 2. I love part 2 so much. But yes, I'll shut up about it. Yes, I do.
No, it's okay.
So yes, Steven, he's got it.
I wasn't sure how deep into like vinyl records you are, especially with like, horror movie soundtracks or, whatever, but that's definitely something like over the years I've definitely kind of carved out
Dude, can I just tell you, I have a side channel I do. It's strictly for fun. It's called Radio CHH.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
What?
Nothing but vinyl. I do nothing but vinyl rips.
Which is incredible.
And you're hearing what the vinyl actually sounds like.
That's
You can take the sound of vinyl and bring it to digital and still keep the sound of vinyl, but you can't take something digitally recorded and try to replicate the sound of vinyl that way. It doesn't work that way. That's why vinyl ripping is so huge. And there are times I'll go, Steven, like for weeks in, where because vinyl is an uncompressed analog format, when you're listening to the song, the volume does this. When you listen to MP3, the volume's like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty of vinyl. It's not a gimmick. Vinyl is not a hipster thing like they say it is. Vinyl is for people that love dynamics and they love listening to music that is uncompressed. It's raw. It's analog. It's got ups and downs when you're listening to stuff. The drums hit harder in parts. The sound gets up. The sound gets down. Vinyl, vinyl is just like, I love my vinyl. I've been collecting vinyl for a very, very long time. Yeah. I used to collect it just for the sheer nostalgia of it, but I started taking it a little bit more seriously. And now I really love vinyl. I listen to records a couple times a week when I'm cleaning up the house. And honestly, dude, a lot of my go-tos are my OSTs, my music. Music from the motion pictures, not necessarily the original soundtracks, but like what I was talking about, like movie soundtracks. One of my prized possessions is Freddy's Dead. And I'll tell you why. Because the vinyl, as far as I know, never really came out in America because it was 91. So I think vinyl had kind of died in a big way by that point. So they weren't really pressing. Vinyl never truly went away, but it definitely died down. And the record companies, they weren't really pressing records in late 90, 91 on vinyl, unless they were huge records. You could get some stuff. But Freddy's Dead was a music from, there's the original soundtrack and the music from the motion picture. And going back to what I was talking about with Enigma and, Return of the Living Dead, and then Island Jam Records, I think is the name of it. Deaf Island Records or Island Jam. I have to Google it. But Return of the Living Dead Part 2 did the same thing, but with Island Records. Deaf Island Records. I have to look it up. The logo is cool. It's a little palm tree with a coconut. It's the 80s. Anyway, Freddy's Dead worked with Metal Blade Records in 1991. And Metal Blade Records had the Goo Goo Dolls. They had Johnny Law. They had Iggy Pop. So that's what I was talking about. What I love about these music motion pictures is the record labels would give all these bands to the studio to put all, and that's why the music is there's something about like soundtracks back then, dude. Like there's a cohesiveness to them because it's all these bands that are signed to the same label that are kind of similar in sound. So that's what I love about that kind of stuff. But yeah, I have a Freddy's Dead. I listen to that one a lot, man.
That's
because
awesome.
It's such a good the music from Freddy's Dead is phenomenal. I understand that it's not everybody's cup of tea, but the music is phenomenal.
Dude, you would love my record store. You would love my record store. I was sending the guys pictures of like the original.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Dude, Halloween. They had the original Candyman.
Hey, the Halloween. Tell me if I'm wrong. The image itself, it's more of a darker look, like the pumpkin. It's not bright orange. It's almost like a dead flat kind of orange, look, right? The original vinyl.
Dude, I have to relook at it. I mean, I know they haven't sold it because it's expensive as hell. So I'm gonna go back soon.
Look at the one sheet like that, and then look at the vinyl image. It's like it's creepier because it's a flatter, darker orange color on it for the pumpkin. But dude, that is like a I want that so bad.
The Halloween one.
Oh yeah.
Dude, if it's still there, I'll send you a picture and I'll send you a link to the place because normally like their records usually go for like they had, I forgot which Friday the 13th, the original one. And I think it was like $100 or something.
Was it red with Jason with a
No, it was I think it was kind of bluish, like in the front, if I'm not mistaken. I have to find that picture, man.
Like an original press of it, or
no, it was an original press of Friday the 13th, Candyman, Halloween.
Wow.
And I'm trying to remember because I know they had the new release for one of the Friday the 13th. I mean, not Friday, Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it was part 3. They had the Pet Sematary 1 and 2 soundtracks, but those were like the newer releases. Damn it, and I'm trying to remember which other horror movies they had. I think they
Yeah,
had like 2 others.
I know you sent it to us, and I remember seeing that tag for Halloween. I was like, "Good lord,
Dude, yeah, I think it was like
It was
110 or
wild.
Yeah.
The Candyman was signed by Tony Todd. But the only problem, it was signed like I had somebody else's name. But if it wouldn't
Oh.
have been for that, I probably
Mm.
would have got it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've just been recently getting into vinyl, and one of my favorites that I got was the Rumpelstiltskin, the original soundtrack for that, because Charles Bernstein's score for that movie was phenomenal,
Oh, he's the man.
dude.
Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
fun.
Well, him, we don't obviously Nightmare on Elm Street, but no, I don't know, something about that one I love, and I thought it was really great.
Man.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, man.
I like how we segued to records.
Yeah.
So
We
Yeah.
can't be trusted.
So, Return. What do you think about the third one? Because I never hear anybody talk about 3.
Big fan. I'm always a little bummed out because en masse people prefer 3 over 2. To me, it's not a question that 2 is absolutely fucking phenomenal, but I love 3 as well. I wish I would have been able to talk to Brian more about 3, but I didn't want to be disrespectful and skip, his life and his career before then.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I love 3. 3 is really interesting considering, when it came out. It's an 80s horror film made in the early 90s, 1992, 1993, and it definitely has a direct-to-video vibe, but that's what I love about it. Like, technically it's a theater movie, right? Because it did go to select theaters, but I don't know about you guys. Movies that feel like TV movies but went to the theater is like the best thing ever. Like, when people talk, like I hear people talk about Friday the 13th, The New Blood, and they say, God, this one feels like a TV movie. And I'm like, the fact that you're saying that as a negative is like the crazy. I'm nuts or you're nuts. Because that is, dude, TV, the feeling of TV movies are so fucking comforting to me.
What about
And
Jason X? Jason X is kind of like that same vibe, I feel like.
It is, but it feels like a B movie more so to me than a TV movie. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it feels more like a B movie than a TV movie. Part 7 feels like a TV movie. It's all you're missing is the USA logo or whatever at the bottom. You're missing the channel logo at the bottom of it. But I feel the same way about 3. I think 3 is awesome. I love 3. It's basically a Reanimator film. It's not really a zombie film. It's a Reanimator film.
Very, very different in tone, but I don't think it's a bad thing.
No. And it's funny because I actually said that to Brian, and he was like, "You're right." And it's funny. Apparently, Quentin Tarantino told him that too. Because in that video, I said, I don't know if anybody's ever said this to you, but I mean, to me, Return of the 3 is a Reanimator movie. And I was like, because instead of, the trioxin is literally used to resurrect his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bride of Reanimator 2.0. And I said it as a compliment. And he was like, well, Quentin Tarantino said the same exact thing to me. So I think you're probably right. But that's why I love it.
That's fascinating.
And Mindy Clark is very easy to look at.
Yeah.
She is beautiful in that movie.
Christian, do you think that part 2 and then 3, do you feel like they have taken a little bit more time to like develop like a following compared to the first one?
Sure. I'm working on people to accept 4 and 5 as well. My favorite videos I've ever done on my YouTube channel are about Necropolis and Rave to the Grave, because I was able to tell the story of how those movies turned out the way that they turned out. Not just shitting on them, but if you knew the story, you'd be blown away. But to answer your question, sure, absolutely. And part 2, even less, Stephen, because I feel like a lot of horror fans, I don't want to say 50%, but a lot of horror fans they get their fix through physical media, right?
Yeah.
Return of the Living Dead 2 has no Blu-ray in the UK.
I was going to ask you about that. So why, like, I mean, that's another one that I'm kind of surprised hasn't, made the jump to 4K yet. Is there like certain reasons that you know of as to why it's never, they haven't pulled the trigger on that?
Well, I mean, listen, you won't hear me complain, but you have to wonder how well it sold.
That's true.
I would wager that it sold okay. They definitely put the effort into it when it came out. They got the same artist to, do that, to do the artwork for it and everything. And I mean, they got it. That Blu-ray, I don't know if you guys saw it. I never assume anybody regularly watches my channel. So I say, if you had seen, but I did a video. I basically said the best Scream Factory Blu-ray ever. And it was on that release. And I mean it.
Yeah. I saw that.
That release has Kenny Myers, who worked on part 1 when Bill Munns got fired, who did all the work on that movie, all the zombie work. The zombie designs, it's basically thriller zombies in Return of the Living Dead 2. I could talk about part 2 as much, if not more than part 1. They got Ken Wiederhorn, who gets a bad rap for part 2. People think he just came in and wanted to rip off the first movie. No, he didn't. He wrote a movie called Grave Robbers. And what happened was Tom Fox says, well, we're going to take your script and we're going to shoehorn it into Return of the Living Dead. And we're bringing back Tom and Frank. We're bringing back Tom Matthews and James Cameron because people loved them in the movie. Well, they died, right? Who cares?
Yeah.
Ken gets such a bad rap for that movie, and it's undeserved. He wrote a movie called Grave Robbers. It was a horror comedy about these guys who are taking jewelry and stuff off of dead people, and they come back and get revenge on them.
Which I remember the first time I watched the second one, and I was a little confused by that till like I started like reading a little bit further into it and like the circumstances for how the movie came to be. So I think when you look at it as a whole, which I don't think most people would obviously, like more casual viewers would know that, but yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a movie that I don't think gets talked about enough. I think it's really good in its own right.
Well, it's one of those movies where it's a comedy. There's horror comedies, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a comedy that has the dressing of a horror film. It's much more of a funny movie than it is a horror movie. Part 1 is definitely funny, but it's a horror film. Nobody would question that Return of the Living Dead is a horror film. Part 2 looks like a horror film. It even sounds like a horror film, but it's a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't like that. And I respect that. But to me, part 2 is one of the most rewatchable, comfort quality zombie films of all time. I really love it.
Got me wanting to rewatch that, but the only way that I have it, I only have a VHS tape of it. So till we get that possible 4K down the line, I'll probably just stick tight with that for right now.
No, listen to me.
I was gonna say the Blu-ray you can still pick that up, the Scream Factory one.
Listen to me. What you need to do before it ever goes out of print. I don't want it to go out of print.
Yeah.
I did a video on this last year or the year before. It might have been last year. It's called Horror's Biggest DVD Mystery. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you've watched, obviously, your VHS of Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
Yes.
Okay. You're familiar with the music that's in that. You need to grab the DVD off of Amazon or go to a used DVD store, go anywhere and look for it. It's not a question of, oh, just get it because it's cheap or the artwork's cool. No, you need to have the DVD. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
the soundtrack that I'm used to with that movie is not what everybody else is used to, because everybody else grew up with this movie on TV and the VHS. When I saw this movie, the music was scary. And what happened was there's a totally different soundtrack on the DVD. All the music's different. It's not the bum, 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 ba 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 ba. It's dun, 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 dun. It's a different soundtrack. Totally.
So why is that though?
I'll get to that in a second.
Okay. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun.
No, you're not. Like I said, dude, this was one of the biggest videos I ever did. I never saw it coming. I didn't think anybody was going to watch this. It's almost 100,000 views. It blew my mind.
Wild.
So when the Blu-ray from Scream Factory came out, and I'm going to tell you something, you really need to grab that Blu-ray, because when More Brains came out, they did two mini documentaries, one 30-minute documentary and one 20-minute documentary. The 30-minute documentary is all about part 2. The 20-minute
okay.
is all about part 3. They put that documentary from More Brains, the bonus features, which were the part 2 and part 3 documentary, they put part 2's documentary on the Scream Factory release. They interviewed Kenny Myers, who talked about making of that whole movie. They interviewed Ken Wiederhorn, who talked about the entirety of the making of that film. They interviewed the guy who did the soundtrack. Now, everybody was wondering what the hell happened with this DVD. Why is the music different? Well, I was starting to wonder this. And so when the Blu-ray came out, everybody was happy because the original soundtrack was back on the release. Ken Wiederhorn says in this interview, well, we got a score for the movie. I didn't like it. So I put the music in the movie and I sent it to Lorimar, who were in the movie business at the time. And then, they did Trick or Treat as well. They didn't stay in the movie business very long. You probably know them more so from TV. I think Lorimar was Full House,
Yeah.
And he said, I put the soundtrack in and I sent it to Lorimar. They didn't like it. And I didn't like it either. So they agreed. So then we hired another guy to redo the soundtrack. Everybody says, man, they must have had some kind of lawsuit when that DVD came out, because that's not the soundtrack. And I said, if there was a lawsuit, there'd be a paper trail.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a lawsuit. Oh, it's a lawsuit. Everybody says it's a lawsuit. I'm thinking to myself, no. What happened, Steven? This is why all you guys need the DVD for part 2.
They probably just sold out after you said that.
What happened was Warner Brothers accidentally used an original print of the movie with the soundtrack that got booted in the beginning.
Oh, no way.
That's what happened.
Interesting. Okay.
And here's how I know it's not a lawsuit. You ready for this? I talked all about this. You guys got to see this video.
I've seen it.
Yeah. This is what happened, Steve. My buddy says, hey, Christian, swap the language to French on that DVD. I said, why? He goes, just do it. Guess what soundtrack is on the French audio? The one on the VHS. There's no lawsuit. They accidentally put out the movie with the soundtrack that got scrapped, which makes this DVD a collector's item. You need to get the DVD now. I'm telling you, eventually this DVD is going to go out of print and it's going to become a collector's item. I'm not taking credit for it.
Yeah.
But it will be a collector's item because they accidentally put on the wrong soundtrack out on DVD.
Wow.
I love the soundtrack myself.
Yeah.
That's my soundtrack because that's how I watched it. But nobody else grew up watching the DVD. They all saw it on VHS. So
I was going to say, was that was initially how you first saw
the
second one? Okay, gotcha.
And I loved it. It's creepier. It's much more thriller type music. It's got like a bounce to it, but it's kind of like Michael Jackson-y Thriller. So this is why I tell people, get the DVD. They say, I might get the Blu-ray. I said, I don't care if you get the Blu-ray. God, have the DVD.
Yeah.
That is This never happens.
Christian, you took me for a spin with that one because I thought you were going to be selling me on the Blu-ray, and then now
Well,
you got me to come around to the DVD.
well, listen. The Blu-ray is phenomenal. It is, if you're kind of a stickler on PQ, it is still a 2K scan from, I believe, the Inner Positive. And Steven, it looks fantastic. If they don't do a 4K, I'm totally fine. Like, I'm really happy with what they did with that Blu-ray. It is packed to the gills with special features, and they're all phenomenal. You know,
Well,
dude, I'm adding it to the shopping cart right now.
I just ordered it.
listen,
I did.
people accuse me of this, and they're right. I can be a salesman for stuff that I really love, but I really love it. I don't make any money if any of you guys get return. I love these movies. That's all it is. Like, I'm not a salesman. I don't sell anything. Steven's the salesman, not me. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I love part 2, man. It does bum me out. Going back to your question, which I've gone on extreme conspiracy theory tangent.
It's all good. We're here for it.
It does break my heart that part 2 doesn't have as big as an audience as 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the problem, Stephen, is people see an end result and they have assumptions. I'm guilty of this. You're guilty of this. And these two gentlemen up here are guilty of this. We all are. You judge an end product. But you have to admit, when you learn the story, oh, I had that wrong. I thought this guy didn't give a rat's ass and he just was like, screw it. Yeah, let's just rip the movie off. That's not what happened. The producer says, oh, yeah, I'm buying your script. Ken needed a job. That's true. Ken Wiederhorn needed a job. He's a great director. He did Shockwaves. I love Shockwaves.
Mm-hmm.
And so he sold his script, Grave Robbers. And then I'm sure it was a good, fun little horror movie. And then it got shoehorned, and Tom Fox says, well, we got to make it a Return of the Dead film. And it's a sequel, but no, we don't have to, it doesn't have to take place after part 1. No, we're just going to take those characters and do them again. He had no idea how movies worked. But that's the beauty of it now, because Return of the Dead 2 is this weird sort of, reset, or not even it's just like an alternate universe sequel. There's even a line in the film that I feel was shoehorned there where Joey, now, not Freddie, Joey,
Mm-hmm.
he goes, this all seems so familiar. That's a tie-in.
Super meta.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But dude, part 2 is, I think, a great comedy horror film. I really do. And the music is so good. And I'm talking about the bands. Leatherwolf, which was a really great, they're still playing till this very day. Joe Lamont, Flesh to Flesh, maybe one of the best horror movie anthem rocks, hair band songs of all time. Just listen to it. Tell me I'm wrong. Go listen to it. So for me, part 3 is not as good as part 2. It's not, but I do love part 3. So that's my spiel on part 2, which I'm glad I got to talk about part 2, because that's where I feel that movie needs a lot more love, and it needs voices. There's not many voices. So any chance I can get to, I'm going to. Going to.
It's cool because I feel like each of like the first 3 films distinctively kind of has its own like voice. I feel like for kind of like what I feel like each one stands for. I mean, yeah, I get that they bring back some of the same actors from the first one, but I don't know. I think now knowing a little bit more about like the backstory behind it and the reasons why like it came to be how it is. I mean, I think that just makes me appreciate it. The second one on its own.
It does, dude, and that's the beauty of a great release, when they interview the people that made it and they get their story. Nobody knew Ken Wiederhorn's story before this. Everybody's just like, oh, they just ripped off the first movie. And Ken's not going to go out of his way to say, well, that's not exactly the case. But when you ask him about it and you hear what he has to say, it changed everything. And I was already a fan of the movie. but then it made me feel vindicated to go to bat for it. And I don't really like doing that. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. If you tell me, oh, well, Chris, even if you say, well, Chris, you know what? I hear you. I'll watch it. Movie's boring. I can't argue with that. I can't say, no, it's not. What's boring to you is boring to you. And I'm not saying you guys specifically, but just in general,
right.
But no, I'm very passionate about Return of the Living Dead 2. And it's one of my favorite movies to put on when I'm cleaning up around the house, or if I'm having a really good day and it's Friday and it's 3 p.m. and I need to kill some time. Sydney's going to cook me some dinner tonight, and we may go out and go hang out at the bar, meet some of my bandmates to just chill. And I get those nice few hours before stuff starts happening, and I get to chill back. I got the dogs with me. I put it on. It is the perfect capper to start a weekend. I hope you guys check the movie out if you haven't seen it, or see it at least on standard def. But that DVD, mark my words, own it. Eventually, they're gonna everything comes to an end. Eventually, that DVD is gonna be out of circulation. And how many DVDs do you guys know where the wrong soundtrack was put on the disc?
Oh, it's like next to none.
Yeah, that's a happy accident for sure.
So yeah, I hope you guys check out the movie. I really do recommend the Blu-ray. I don't foresee a 4K coming. I really don't. And that's fine if it doesn't happen. The Blu-ray looks really great. Not everything needs necessarily a 4K. I mean, I'm not against getting stuff on 4K, especially horror stuff. But if it doesn't, I'm fine. I think the Blu-ray is fantastic. You still can reverse it and have that badass, that tornado. You can have that on there, like the art and everything. So, yeah, I just love part 2, dude. And I really do go to bat for it. I mean, I need to shut up because I feel like I've talked way too much.
Oh, no, you're good. I kind of wanted to bring up something jumping off of like what we were talking about. So, do you think these movies as a whole deserve more credit for influencing more modern zombie tropes that we see in movies like maybe past this point or like around that time?
I can't say that for 2 or 3, but I think it's beyond fair to say it for 1. I think going back to what we talked about earlier, I think it's clear. I'm not saying that there weren't instances before, but I do think that Return of the Living Dead probably did, make brains like the food of the zombie. Like, really?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think that that's, kind of like how it was with Romero's work? A very subtle commentary on conformity and consumerism, right?
Yes.
Do you feel like that is the case? Maybe let's just talk about like the first one. Do you think it's touching on that film in the same way, or do you feel like it's a little bit more just kind of like the chaos element that's added to this for the first film?
I think I don't personally get the sense. I'm of the mind, if you get something out of a movie, whether the director intended it or not, then that's what it's meant to do.
Mm-hmm.
I believe once you put something out there into the public, what people get or take from it, that's what you get. I don't think it's good or right to say, no, what you just took out of it is wrong. But sure. I think part 1, I don't get the sense that Dan O'Bannon was necessarily trying to say the military is like a disaster or a mess. Because obviously it's like the barrels get lost, they get misplaced, blah, blah, blah. If anything, going back to part 1, I just saw the movie as Dan truly having fun. Because everybody you can kind of laugh at, with or at in the film, I should say. And there's parts of that movie I could tell you guys which I find are the funniest. But I think some of the funniest scenes are the guy in the military when you go to his house.
Colonel Glover,
with his wife.
the supper scenes.
here's like the sitcom TV moments.
Mm-hmm.
When you watch that part of the film, and he's, he gets in and he's, how was your day? Crap. What's for dinner? And she's like, your favorite lamb chops. And he goes, I had them for lunch. You usually want to laugh, but if you really want to laugh, watch the wife when he says that. She has that sitcom, Golden Girls reaction. She's like she makes the face and everything. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
The only thing missing in that part is the laugh track. And then he goes up to. It's so those moments to me are the funniest. Like I love the military guy. He's in such a foul mood. Christ, Ethel. Like
yeah.
What'd she say about all his computers messing up her oven or something?
Yeah. All this computer stuff messes with my oven. Like it's just and even at the end, like when they do set off the bombs and he's just like, yeah, well, only a few hundred deaths. We're good. Like, I don't think Dan was saying anything other. I didn't take anything from Dan saying the military is, this or that. I thought, to me, it's true. And another part of the movie I think is hysterical. Is the gentleman in that little hut, like out on the base, and he gets on the phone. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Archimedes, rhubarb, and he's like saying like the thing for the bombs and like the latitude, longitude. It's hysterical to me,
dude. When he starts, when he gets the phone call in the middle of the night, and he's asking all those questions, he's so calm. He's like, "They did what? I see."
Yes, sir.
And he's like writing it down.
Yeah,
and, dude, it was so funny. I mean, that's where I lost it. I was
you remember he goes, why didn't they tell us the barrels? Why didn't they tell us I had the barrels before? I understand.
He's like, I could see that.
Like, he finally finds them, and he's like, they had them? The medical supply? Why didn't they say anything? I think I'm scared. I understand.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Like that guy was. And I credit Dan because clearly Dan, like, he knew what he wanted these people to do and how they wanted to be. That dude is hysterical. I love that part of the movie. But I did want to ask you guys this, like, if you had like a favorite character from the film, because nobody ever has mine. Nobody, and I'm just curious to see what y'all's is. Like, who's your favorite character?
Dude, definitely Frank, man. Like that incinerator scene where he just decides to put himself in there was like that part. It was like a beautiful part, but hilarious. Just the way he just kind of like lays down, reaches out like to close the door and to press the button. Like it was so, it was very poetic. It was like, to me, he was my favorite.
Yeah, I think Frank, I said it earlier, is my favorite. He's a very layered character, I feel like. And that whole scene too, you could take it two ways. It's hilarious or it's very morbid when he's sitting there and when they're telling him, he's like, look, I'm going to do this favor for you. I should get something in return. And he sits there and he goes, I could have done this kind of thing. I could operate this. That's what I mean. You can take two avenues with that.
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
All right. So we got two Franks. Steven, don't let me down. They haven't said it yet.
I don't know. I think that there's something kind of like quirky about Ernie.
Ernie, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're the first person to say Ernie Kaltenbrunner.
He's so, I don't know. He's just like very quirky and just like very, very like goofy.
He's fucking hysterical.
Yeah, he just kind of gets dragged into something he didn't even ask for.
They walk in there. He's listening to Mozart. He's got a dead guy split open.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Bert taps him on the shoulder. God, dude, he pulls the Uzi out. That's the first thing. He's got it locked on him. Dude,
it's not even just a handgun.
He's supposed to be. I think he's supposed to be a Nazi.
Well, yeah, the bleached hair and everything, the way they have him all set up to look.
Like he escaped Germany, Or if he is or he isn't, I'm not too sure. But like either that was like an inside thing that Dan was doing or not. But I think the name even was based off of an actual Nazi guy. So, but the character is hysterical. My favorite parts whenever like they finally open up the bags and the zombie hand comes out, it grabs his pants. He looks up with those big Rodney Dangerfield eyes, and before yelling, he waits a second. He looks at him, and then he goes, get it off. But it's the moment of those bug eyes where he said, and then they everything settles down, the dust settles, they get the hands off of him, and they're like, you can't say anything about this. We need your help. You can't say anything about this. Instead of replying, he takes a deep breath. He walks over, gets a pair of scissors, sits down, cleans up his pants before he utters a word. Other than he goes, okay, let's fix your problem. Like he is so fucking funny to me. Ernie is the best in this movie. My second pick would absolutely be James Karen. 100%. James Karen, he is vital to me. But Ernie to me is the funniest motherfucker of all time. I love Ernie.
It's those little subtle details of like humor that we were talking about earlier that are kind of sprinkled throughout him, especially as a character. I don't know. I feel like he's a trip.
Dude. And after that, I was watching More Brains, and they talked about him being in a movie called it actually had the Bad News Cruise in it. It's called Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh,
and
that's
he's
a good movie.
The bad guy. Don Calfa, the actor's name, is the bad guy, and I had to see it. Then I fell in love with Weekend at Bernie's. But Ernie Kaltenbrunner is the best. He is my favorite. Just the fact that the second you get introduced to him, pulls the gun out right there. It's so funny to me.
Well, doesn't he also have the pinup of is it Eva Braun too?
I think so. Yeah.
Which it's just I think if like you didn't really pick up on some of that, I don't think you would have noticed it. But yeah, it's pretty wild. Like it's very little subtle details thrown in there.
Yeah, I he's my favorite.
Who's out of the punks, who's you guys' favorite? I think what GC's gonna say.
Oh, you already know I'm going for trash.
That was it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I gotta respect that choice.
I mean, how do you top that whole like 30-minute like freaking? And it wasn't even just a graveyard. Throw after that. Like,
what did they say? Yeah. Trash is taking her like top off. Like get the lights out here or whatever.
What's his name? She's
taking a over here.
Yeah.
Well, the way they said it too, they're like, I think that's where they were like, oh, she's taking off her clothes again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's taking off her clothes again.
Yeah.
Suicide's funny. I don't know. The one part where she comes up and she's trying to dance on him, and what does he say? Like, have some respect for the dead.
Yeah. She pushes her away.
Trying to be deep, and he's like there with a freaking piercing across his face, and he's
all
punk rock, and he's like all serious, and he's like, oh, nobody cares. Like,
yeah.
No, they're good.
Yeah.
Well, what else is there to say about Return of the Living Dead? I'm sure a lot more.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I could get into behind the scenes. But I would encourage everybody to watch the documentary More Brains. It's about as comprehensive as you can get. You know, they go over the beginning stages, the making of, after it came out. It's really great. You'll learn a lot about it. But this book goes into every single detail about every single Return of the Living Dead film. Every single one. And this book is amazing.
Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah. Who put that out?
Well, unfortunately, it's out of print. It came out in 2010. But Gary Smart and Christian Sellers wrote the book, and I actually became friends with Gary through a mutual that's a big Return of the Living Dead fan in the UK. But I think the book you'll have to eBay it. But I'm looking for a date.
It's on eBay. It's up there.
Yeah, 2010 is when the book came out. So, but this is the best book. I hate to say this because Crystal Lake Memories is probably one of the best horror books of all time. This one's better. I mean,
Damn.
0 stones left unturned.
I was gonna say that's saying a lot.
And the pictures of the behind the scenes stuff in this is flabbergasting. Like I'll cover up trash, but like this is, they got shots of Dan directing her on the alleyway scene right there. I mean, it's insane the amount of behind the scenes photos that they got. There's the car on set. I mean, it's just
sick.
Wow, that's cool.
Phenomenal stuff.
Christian, I was going to ask you, because you go to conventions here and there, right?
Yes, sir.
Have you had a chance to meet any of the cast before?
Yes. You can't see it, but like that's my Return of the Living Dead section over there behind this rotating shelf. I've got a lot of part 2.
Okay.
Including Tom Matthews, because when I met Tom Matthews, I made the choice to get him to sign a part 2 picture and not a part 1 picture. I do have Beverly Randolph from part 1. Her autograph's right over here. But I've got Tom Matthews for part 2. I've got the older sister in the movie from part 2 that's doing the workout stuff in the beginning of the film. And I have the kid. I need to get Dana Ashbrook, who was the guy that was going there to do the cable hookup.
Yep.
He canceled on the convention I was going to be at a Twin Peaks convention, which I was very upset about because obviously some of the other people I would want have passed, like James, Karen.
For sure.
But I don't hear a lot of good stories about Miguel Nunez, so I'm not going to give him my money, unfortunately. It just
No way.
I love him, but I hear horror stories about like I have a buddy that said he went up to go meet him, and he was literally just on the phone talking, and gave the handler the money. He walked up to Miguel, and he got on the phone. He said he put his phone down, put it on his pocket, took the picture, and as soon as he got done taking the picture, didn't even get to talk to him.
Wow.
I have other friends that went to go get Friday the 13th autographs from him for Demon, and he would sign it in his Return of the Living Dead character name, which I'm forgetting off the top of my head for some reason. But you guys know what I'm saying. But he would sign
Right. Yeah.
Oh, Spider, right?
Yeah, Spider.
Yeah.
Signed Spider on Friday the 13th 5 stuff.
Oh, I'd be livid.
Jeez.
So I don't hear. And then Pizzo did an interview with him on YouTube, and you know, I don't mean I don't want nobody to bash him or anything, obviously, because I don't take it personally. I will never not enjoy Return of the Living Dead because Miguel Nunez maybe isn't the greatest convention star for fans. Like they may have they may not have the greatest experience with him, but I mean, listen, I love him in the movies and he's still a human being. I'm not gonna have a problem with him. But if you watch Piz's interview with Miguel Nunez, like a little bit into the interview, Miguel just goes, "Hey, you got 5 minutes." So it's just, that's Miguel Nunez for you,
Wow.
So I mean, I actually like the experience and taking the picture more than getting the autograph. The autograph is just means to an end, really. So that's why I'm like, well, and Miguel, I haven't really seen him at a convention yet either, to be honest with you. So that's another reason I don't have him, but I don't know. I just have to see.
Yeah,
I like Miguel Nunez and Scooby Doo when he was the voodoo guy.
That was him.
That was him. And he was also
Wow.
DJ in Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Wild.
Scooby Doo. That's a trip back right there.
Yeah, Miguel has been in big movies.
Purple's my natural color.
Yep.
Well, I know I think they have a number of like the cast members that are supposed to be over at Scarefest over in Lexington, Kentucky in October.
If Ashbrook is there, I need somebody to get his autograph for me because I'm never going to see him. I need him if he's there. I don't know if he's going to be there. I'll pay. I'm not even necessarily talking to y'all. Anybody.
Yeah.
Because some of these guys, they don't travel very far. Like I am a gigantic Sean Cunningham fan. I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves. Nobody is in his shoes, yet everybody likes to say, oh, he's just this, he's just that. But I have a lot of respect for Sean. And I don't think people realize that Sean's a good director. I mean, he did some cool movies like The New Kids, which is a great little kind of 80s, trippy, almost slasher type movie. It's definitely a horror film. And it's kind of like Class of 1984. But Sean did an amazing creature feature called Deep Star 6, which is just phenomenal. And it was a big budget, creature feature submarine movie. 89 was the big year for underwater. You had Leviathan, you had The Abyss, and you had Deep Star 6, which Deep Star 6 is my favorite of the three. I mean,
I'll have to check that out.
It's really good. Kino just put out a 4K of it.
I saw that.
It's a phenomenal movie. I don't think Sean gets his due. I really don't. And anyway, all to say, I had a friend that actually was able to meet Sean at a convention. They were I have it right over there. It's my favorite autograph I have. I got Mr. Cunningham's autograph right over there.
Incredible.
I treat it. I showcase it. He's the king. I love Sean. To me, Sean is up there with what he's done.
Yeah.
Which is Wes or anybody. I mean, Sean found Wes Craven in a sense. I mean, Sean made those movies with him back in the day. Sean doesn't get, I don't know why, but Sean does not get the credit he deserves by horror fans. It breaks my heart.
Do you think that it has anything to do with like the rights situation? I feel like that kind of leaves I think across the board.
I think people are upset and people are upset about it. But the thing is, I get it. I'm upset too, but you're not in the situation. You don't know what's really going on. I remember when the whole thing went down, Victor Miller had to get off of Twitter. People were saying, like, just die. We want movies. Like it's, dude, it's like, I get it, but
there's still people too,
Right.
This is going on with Elm Street. People don't understand this. There's this thing now where if you write a script, you sell the script to studio, you get paid. That's it. You don't get paid from the movie. You don't get this constant reimbursement from the movie. Victor got paid to write that script. He didn't make a whole lot of money off of Friday the 13th. He's talked about this, and this is how a lot of these screenwriters do. They write the script, they sell the script, they get good money for some of these scripts. But after 35 years, they've put it into law that the script and the IP inside of the script reverts back to the author of the script.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is in Friday the 13th. If you think about it, and this is something, I don't know if you guys follow Shelley, the actor who played Shelley in Friday the 13th Part 3.
Is he a lawyer now?
He's an entertainment lawyer, and guys, he is a beacon of knowledge about all this stuff. Larry Zerner is his name. Larry Zerner has talked about this, and he was like, people, you got to understand something. People were saying, yeah, but Jason wasn't in the script. He didn't Tom Savini came up with Jason coming into the water. And Larry said, guys, listen, Jason is in the script. If you take that character and try to do anything with it, it's a derivative from what was created in Victor's original screenplay. It's not as simple as, the hockey mask was in the movie. That's true. But who's the name of the character? Exactly. It's not that. And fans are just like, F Victor. Like, they don't understand, man. It's just like, I get the anger, I get the aggression, but we can't do anything about it. We just got to sit back and wait and all this, and these things happen, man. It's going on right now with Elm Street. I had some conversations with people about this, and Elm Street would have came out on 4K a lot sooner than it did. The 40th happened to be from what I understand, the 40th happened to be a happy accident in a sense. But But they were wanting to put that out. Warner Brothers, they were having some issues from what I understood with the kids that, took
From who?
Wes's kids.
Oh, okay.
So these things are happening all over the place. It's not just Friday the 13th.
So Christian, is that what you think? Because I've always felt, man, that of all the franchises, like horror franchises between like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Chucky, I always felt like Nightmare on Elm Street was the one that never, like, hasn't really been getting love, man, and like at all, like especially with that like Blu-ray box release. But then like every other company is like releasing these sick like releases for all these other franchises. So you think that's what it is? Like it because of the kids, for West's kids that are kind of keeping it from with the whole licensing thing?
Yeah, I mean they're going to the drawing board with everything, renegotiating all this stuff, and they want to be paid for it. And guess what? I'm not going to villainize them for it.
Yeah, it's business. I mean, yeah.
But here's another thing. I didn't know about this. How many of you guys ever go to Spirit Halloween?
Yeah.
You go to Walmart. You go to any clothing shop, kind of a cool clothing store, and they have seasonal clothes and they have t-shirts. You ever say to yourself, God, man, why is this the Elm Street remake logo on this shirt? Why is this a Jackie Earle Haley shirt? Why does Spirit Halloween have a canvas print of Michael Myers? They'll have Jason, but why do they use Jackie Earle Haley? Why are they using that?
It's because of that.
You guys notice? Well, it's not only that. Get ready for this. But do you guys notice there's always a bunch of like remake merchandise all the time?
Yeah.
I found something out about this. So there's this girl named Paige that did a documentary called Fred Heads, which is a documentary about like the Elm Street fandom.
Yeah.
I wish I could have been in it, but she didn't know who I was. So, otherwise I would have loved to. Because then she found me on TikTok and she saw my baby Freddie and she's like, "Oh, damn it, you would have been great." But anyway, she's awesome. I love Paige. I was bitching about this on TikTok one day, just like, if you're an Elm Street fan, going to Spirit Halloween sucks. You don't find shit. And she said, well, guess why? Robert has it in his deal. Any bit of merchandise that has his face on it, every Elm Street film besides the remake, he's got to get paid for it.
Damn.
Interesting.
Wild.
So that's why there's always a bunch of remake merchandise all the time. You think these companies are like, man, we really got to get Jackie Earle Haley signs and pictures and shirts. They don't want to pay. It's all business. Everything is business. But you think people are going to villainize Robert Englund for that? They're going to say, no, honey, get your bread. You are. So this is why I say, man, like, it's like we don't really know what the story is. We just see stuff and like, oh, these students, like, Warner Brothers is so stupid. Like, why are they putting out a remake shirt at Walmart? Nobody wants that. First off, everybody's going to buy it. I think it's funny. It's like I think it's funny to wear a remake shirt out and about, right?
Yeah.
Point is, there's stuff that we just don't think. It's like, you think Warner Brothers is that dumb that they're like, no, we're not going to use Robert. We're using Jackie. Like, no, it's all business. So these are things I've learned through meeting people and talking to people, and nothing is as black and white as it seems, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, I feel like we're kind of seeing a culmination of a lot of that frustration with like the Jason universe. I think with everyone's expectations about them just putting out a new film, and I don't think it's that simple. I think that there's a lot of like, I think there's a lot of gray area, like with the direction of where things can go.
And I'm going to do a video about this tomorrow because I try to always do a Friday related video on Friday. I'm that big of a fan, but I'll talk about this now. We can end on this. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, and I've talked my ass off tonight. I can't talk at work. I got to be quiet all day. So
yeah, no, you're good. You're good here, man.
Let me just say,
safe.
Let me say this about this. There's a lot of negativity about the announcement of this commercial. Right? Now, GC, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
When Jason Universe says this Friday the 13th, we have huge news for you guys. and you get excited and you say, "Oh God, this is it.
Finally.
We're working on a new movie." And then you don't get that news because they told you to get excited. You're gonna be annoyed, right?
Oh, absolutely, dude.
Let me ask you, okay. But you wake up one day, it's a normal day, and then you're just scrolling online, and then you see Jason commercial being done for Angry Orchards. Were you told to be ready for news like? Hold on. This is my point. Were you told, GC, get ready, dude? Today you're gonna find out groundbreaking news about Jason Voorhees from the Jason universe. You weren't told that. You just got the news about it. Here's my argument, GC. Do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 38.
Okay, 38. Perfect. Do you remember when we were younger and Doritos and Pepsi did this huge push with the Universal Monsters and Dracula was showing up at the house with chips and dip? Where's the dip? And Frank, we loved that, didn't we?
Hell yeah, dude.
How amazing was that? Wouldn't you love that to come back?
Oh yeah.
Dude, what are the Universal Monsters today? It's the 80s slashers.
Mm-hmm.
That's the new Dracula. What's wrong with Jason doing what's wrong with Jason doing an Angry Orchard commercial? Like, no, my point is, like, why be upset about, like, this is what you weren't told, get ready for big news. You're just finding out Jason's gonna be in a commercial. And they're gonna, like, you're gonna be able to see the look of this Jason. What's wrong with that? Wouldn't you like to see this look, Steven and Jordan, in a commercial before a movie? Like, we're gonna see what this character will look like. I think they're gonna be paying attention to fan reception on the look of this. Dude, we're gonna see Jason in a commercial that nobody asked for. I get that, but it's no harm, no foul. It's a commercial.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a way for them to kind of gauge interest?
Yes and no. I think they're reintroducing Jason into the world again.
Yeah.
Dude, it's gonna be a Halloween beer commercial. There's no reason people should be up in arms about this. We weren't told, get ready for groundbreaking news. We weren't told cameras are rolling on Jason. News coming soon. And then you find out it's a commercial. Everybody would be like, I get that. But dude, they're putting Jason in a commercial. I can't wait to see it. Like, it does no harm, no foul. And I love Angry Orchard. I don't know if you guys know that. Like, I don't drink beer. I love hard ciders. I do drink beer. That's not true, but I love hard ciders. So this is no harm, no foul. They're reintroducing Jason into the world again. You're going to get to actually see him. I just don't think that the anger that was put out today is as warranted as, I get it. When you're told news coming Friday the 13th, put your seatbelts on. And then you find out, oh yeah, we're going to have a, Jason attraction at Universal Studios, which some could argue, hey, that's actually something. That's not nothing. But I know what everybody's wanting. They want a movie. I get that.
Yeah.
Dude, I just think the wheels are going to move a little slower. And we're reintroducing this character to everybody. I want to see the commercial. I'm ready for the commercial.
Well,
And here's the thing, GC. Let's say this Halloween season, they do like a special box for the Angry Orchards with Jason on.
That would be sick.
Are you not excited to go try to get you a 12-pack and you can keep? What's wrong with that? There's no. I don't see why this is getting as much shit as not as great news on a Friday the 13th.
Dude.
And you know what? People may get mad at me when I talk about this for tomorrow's video. They may say, "Fuck you, Christian. You're selling out." No, I'm not selling out. You're telling me you're putting Jason in a commercial. What's wrong with that? That's what I'm saying. We weren't told to be prepped for this. We're just finding out about it.
Yeah.
So I don't see what's wrong with this. I think it is actually a cool way to introduce Jason to people again. We got to get these faces out there. We have to remember not everybody is like us.
Well, and I think a lot of like the frustration, it's like boiling over where you're not even appreciating. Listen, I know I just probably just as much as everyone else, like I would love to get the feature film, right? But
It's gonna happen.
But I feel like is a lot of this frustration and anger. It's like, I mean, aren't they? They're already filming the TV series. Like, can't that be something to look forward to?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Because it is exciting, but Pamela Voorhees is not enough to sustain.
No, I agree with you there.
Yeah, it's different times too, man. Like I think that I mean, we could all say based on our age and everybody on here, we grew up in simpler times where it's like we saw the smallest thing that had to do with like our favorite characters, and we're just grateful and happy. And now we live in a society where people are like the attention span of a peanut sometimes, and they're not as excited with the small things. Everything has to be extravagant. Everything has to be like sexy and cool,
now, quality, fast, now.
Yeah, I want a movie now, and if it's
blessing and a curse,
perfect, like if it's like one little color shading off, and people they go to social media and they're like keyboard warriors, and they're like they ruined it and this and that. And it's funny because a lot of the people complaining will be people that didn't even grow up with it, that they're here like they discovered it, they think it's cool, and then they're like, oh, you know what, they mess this up and that. But at the end of the day, it's like the fact that we have a slasher from like the 80s in 2025 still relevant. How many like characters in movies can you think of that have like lived the test of time where they're still as popular and they're still selling merchandise? I mean, dude, like you were saying earlier about getting excited over a beer. Like, I mean, if you see right here, where is it? Those little shiny things, I'm sure you recognize those. Those are the melts for the Dawn of the Dead.
They are. Now I can see them.
Dude, and I told myself one of them I'm not opening at all. That's going to stay there and be my collectible because I absolutely like loved it. And then the other one I'm only using on special occasions when I watch the Dawn of the Dead. Because the smell.
Oh, that's incredible.
Dude, if you phenomenal, dude. Like you got the smell. Like I feel like that's the smell for the mall in the theater. Like I feel like that. I mean, not for a theater, for the mall itself. That's the scent for in the movie.
Listen, thank you so much. And I want to say this because there's this weird. I don't know how big of a misconception is, but there's this thing where there's some people, and maybe they just don't like me, and I get it. I'm definitely a pain in the ass, but some people think I am getting sent these candles and I'm just promoting them. No. My wife slaves. She does all of that by hand. Our kitchen looks like Breaking Bad. Cylinders and pots.
Yeah.
My wife is melting wax all day. My wife does all of that. I'm the Billy Mays. I get on there and I say, here we are with another fantastic product, and I sell it. She does every bit of that. She has contracts with the distributors to get the packages, to get the thing. Like we don't go to Walmart and buy candle. You can't go and just buy candle jars.
No.
Get in with these companies to get distribution, get our names on the list. She orders the stuff months in advance. I just want to put her over because, she's off camera. My wife is not an on-camera person, which I prefer it that way because the internet is very crazy. But, she does all of that by hand. So when people do like it like that, dude, I really appreciate that.
Dude,
tell her
awesome. Dude, the quality, I mean, it was just absolutely, and that's the thing, the camera doesn't even do it justice. But I mean, the fact that there was like a cool bookmark in here.
Did those too. Yeah, dude. I don't know how she does it. She's bought all the technology, yeah. But dude, let me tell you something. I told Sydney, I like taking because there's no license, or I did research on this. There's no license or having to pay a royalty for anything like this on old newspaper clippings of like when they promoted movies. And I thought those are so cool. I was like, let's bounce with that because that's what that is. That's from like an old newspaper. Because it should have like little Showtime stuff. I said, Sydney.
Drive-ins and everything.
Yeah. I said, Sydney, you remember when we were kids and we would go to like restaurants and they have those things where you take the quarters and you put them in the little slots and you push it in and it comes out and it's got those old school stickers. I said, what's that shiny glow and that reflective disco stuff on top of it? She goes, I'll figure it out. And she replicated it. That's why they have that speckle, that almost because that's all that. It's a filmic thing she has to buy and then roll it on to all the, that's what I'm talking about.
Wow, that's cool.
and the smell is just like I'm telling you, like that's, dude. I was like, I had to control myself. I was like, I'm definitely only like using one, and it has to be like a freaking like has to be a special occasion. But I was like, no way, I'm using both. Like this is just so damn cool. I
Well,
was
thank
like,
you so much, dude. Thank you.
yeah, man. Like I was so excited when I got it. I was like, I gotta take a picture of it. Like I gotta, and I'm definitely. I saw you put out. I missed out on the Friday the 13th one again, and the Nightmare on Elm Street. That was a surprise. That's one of my favorite franchise. So I was like, I'm gonna keep an eye out for that.
Yeah,
Dude, yeah, man. Like I was like, what the hell, freaking Nightmare on Elm Street?
listen, the Fruity Pebbles smell is like Sydney has to alter them sometimes. Sometimes we'll do it, and it'll almost like singe your nostrils. It's so strong, and it's almost too. But we got it, dude. It actually smells really good to where we have to bring back the popcorn scent too, like movie theater popcorn melts, because I'm telling you,
That'd be dangerous.
Sydney knows how to do this stuff to a T now. We've been doing it since 2022, and like I said, eventually I have a garage that I'm gonna close in. My house was built in '76. I've got original '70s hardwood walls, like the wood panel walls.
Mhm.
Oh
And
yeah.
we're gonna close that in sometime later in the summer, around late fall, and the goal is clear out this room. We're probably, before I'm like late 30s, gonna try to have a kid. That's the goal. Whether we do or we don't, it's out of my control, really. But anyway, that's another reason too. But because I have I take up 2 of these rooms. But anyway, we're gonna close in the garage, which is a big room, and I'm gonna make like just the ultimate kind of Planet CHH lair. It's probably going to be more Friday the 13th looking than anything, but I'm also going to make it video store-esque because I got the stand. Anyway, I don't want to just talk about me, but anyway, my point is we're going to clear all that out so City can take one of these rooms and just completely turning it like into a lab, and that way we can keep stuff on stock better. Because I mean, we use the kitchen for all of that, but
Dude, why do I picture you like in like recording a video or just doing something random, and the entire time, like all day, you just hear in her office, just like drilling, like jackhammer, like the
You hear like a
crazy
construction
tools.
site going on.
And then she walks out, and she's like, she's like, look what I made.
yeah,
And then you're like, what the hell are you doing in there?
yeah, it's a process, man. So she works her ass off, man. That's her full-time gig now, is doing that. And it's funny because I didn't realize it, but like when you work for yourself, you work twice as much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you
Yeah.
not a corporate, but just like if you work for the man, you work twice as much as you would if you were if you had a 9 to 5. And but it's doing good, man. And I'm really proud of her, and I'm really proud of it. So, but we have a lot of cool stuff coming up, man. We have for the Jaws 50th, we have Sydney recreated the image of Jaws as a Nintendo. We posted this yesterday, but
I
she
saw that. It's so
she
cool.
drew it, and we have it's a blueberry smelling candle for Jaws. We do have Return of the Living Dead candles coming. It's going to be called 2,4,5-trioxin. It's got this lovely earthy scent, and that's going to be a candle. And she's working on it right now. The image is going to be the shot of when you remember the movie when he wipes off the glass on the barrel.
Mhm.
It's going to be that zombie looking up where the melt's going to. She's drawing all that now because we're trying to avoid just using images and me adjusting them, because I want to make sure everything we do is our own. We created it, so we got that. We're gonna have Jaws 3D melts, and the packet. City had to find a different distributor that did this, but the packet for that, it's a mega size melt, and instead of squares, they're seashells on the back. So when you pop them out, it'll be a seashell you pop out. So that's all.
So cool.
That's all going to come next week. We're working on all that stuff. So yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff coming up.
That
So,
Return of the Living Dead's gonna sell out so hard.
well, you know what? It's like our biggest complaint is you guys sell out too fast, and I'm not tooting my own horn. The reality is we're a small business. We can only afford to buy so much material. But I told Sydney, just spend the money now. Get 24 Jaws candles ready. So we're going to have 24. They should last all weekend. And for Return of the Living Dead, I think it's closer to 15 or 16. So
I mean, the prices too, dude. That's why they sell out. The quality and the prices. I mean,
we try to make the prices as good as we can. I mean, obviously, if you go to Walmart, you buy a melt for $2. Ours cost $5. But the reality is, dude, and I'm not just saying this, be my guest. Go to Walmart and buy a melt that's the same scent as ours. They dilute it and they do tricks like spraying. They'll get the scent and spray it on top of the actual melt when it's done to give you that burst of smell. All their shit's diluted. 1 cube of our stuff, and we know this because we literally would buy scents from Walmart and we would recreate it. City would adjust the amount of syrup and scents that go in, you know, so you're getting your money's worth from us. Like nobody's ever complained that the best thing I could say is nobody has ever said, dude, the smell goes away fast on the melts. No, you can melt. Each cube will last you a week.
And less harmful chemicals too, man. That's one of the big things. I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, oh, I want to start getting more of these because, I mean, for one, phenomenal product. But for two, it's like the fact that you're not putting all these random chemicals at a lot of these places. Like you get what you pay for. You know, you pay $2 for a candle or something. You're definitely getting like random stuff in there.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's not good for you smelling that stuff, especially if you have pets. I mean, I think most of us, if not all of us on here, have pets.
Yes,
and
I got
4. Yep, dude. Yeah. So I mean, I have a parrot, a cat, 2 dogs. So I mean, they're all like, especially parrots, they're very sensitive to chemicals and scents. They could easily die from that. And it's important. Whatever we have in the house, it's like good quality and stuff like that.
Well, thank you, dude. I'm glad we're making your house smell good, dude. So
hell yeah, man.
Christian, one more question, then we'll let you go because I want to be respectful of your time.
Kidding. Go ahead, please.
No. It goes off of the you need a candle. Have you guys ever thought about, and I know this is, I don't know how likely this is like, you can do it, but making your own actual warmers?
Not only have I thought about it, I'm looking into 3D printing to actually recreate a trioxin barrel as a melter.
Oh,
but
that's awesome.
Better be careful. GC's going to give you his credit card.
Dude,
Christian,
stop making cool things, man, because I'm a weak man.
Put me on a subscription service. Come on.
I don't even have a melt yet. Like I was actually looking at something you posted for Halloween at Walmart where they had like I think it was like the pumpkin one.
Yes. But if you want classy stuff, dude, I'll message you. I'll message you some stuff on Facebook. I got to film a little thing after we get off. And after that, I'll message you. I will take pictures of the melters I have. I will tell you exactly where I got them. If you want one that's Halloween themed, absolutely. Walmart will have skeletons, pumpkins. The pumpkin is the best one because the base is very, very big. The skeletons, one little cube is fine, but the pumpkin ones, you could use it. I don't know how big that room is, but like the pumpkin one would be big for like a living room because you could fill it up with 2 or 3 cubes and it'll diffuse more. But I can show you some that look nice. I have one that looks like a wicker basket. I love it. It's my favorite melter. And I got that at home, but I'll send you pictures of all the ones I got. There's a lot of cool ones you can get, but yes, I am looking into making my own. I have a buddy that's into 3D printing. The thing is, I've got to figure out how to do it, but I want to create a trioxin barrel and it'll say so cool. Candles on it. Obviously,
that'd be badass.
I'll have to figure out with making like getting like a piece of paper where the glass door would be. I could maybe get like a big thing of fiberglass and cut out the little pieces, but I got to figure out specifically which bulbs I would have to get. They can't be too much wattage because obviously I don't want to melt the fiberglass or the paper that would have the picture of the zombie.
Sure.
You know, I got to figure all that out. Yeah. But that's my goal, is to create like 20. You need a candle. Obviously, number 1's going to moi, but I want to create like a limited run of 20. You need candles, trioxin barrels, right? And of course, you put the wax right on top. You hit the light, the barrel illuminates. I want there to be the glass door. And whether it's just the light you see or I try to make a picture or something, I don't know. But I've been looking into this. Sydney keeps saying it's a pipe dream. We can't do it. I refuse. I know it's going to make it happen. I've just got to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
I'm getting closer.
Well, it'd be cool to see a Halloween 2 pumpkin one with the face. I
thought about that. Cool. I thought about that too. But my mind, because I'm a big Part 3 fan, I've want to make like a witch melter or something.
The witch
there's a lot of cool stuff. I've thought about I've thought about doing a zombie melter where the zombie on the poster just has the flat, his head dips in, and you can put. I've thought about all that sort of stuff. It would have to be super limited because on it, obviously I can't pay the license. I wouldn't even know how to go about that, and I would do a tweak to where like I wouldn't sell it being called. Like the way a lot like Devil's Latex works, these companies that sell Jasons, they can do what they do legally just fine, but you can't sell it and say Jason Takes Manhattan Bus. It's called the Manhattan Machete Man. Like he gives them all weird, quirky names, and it's totally legally within his right to do that. So I know I could do it. It's a whole thing, guys. Like I refuse to give up on it. Sydney keeps thinking it's a pipe dream, but no, I'm gonna make it happen. I'll make sure GC you get one if I do it. If you want one that bad,
you know, absolutely, man. Like, and that's the thing, man. With all the tech that we have, I mean, there's no way you won't be able to do it. It's just really figuring out, like you said, like the safety for the bulb and the type of material. But dude, I tinker a lot as well, so I'll look into like materials and stuff, and if I see anything interesting that might be able to help, I'll send the information your way, dude, because that's sick, man. Like that's cool to make. I love, as you see, if you saw like one of these days pretty soon I'm gonna do like a room tour and show everybody kind of like a lot of the stuff that I've made, because I've just like I love putting stuff together.
Oh, fantastic.
Awesome.
Christian, I got a quick question for you before we wrap up. What is your favorite Return of the Living Dead piece in your collection?
Ooh. That's a great question.
How can you make them choose like that, Steven?
Listen, I had to, just cap it off on this note.
You had to save one from a fire.
Oh,
let's hope it never comes down to that, but yeah.
If that's the case, I have to save something from. Honestly, this book, I'm going to tell you why. I could have said my original soundtrack, my original 85 pressing. This book, because of this book, I made my favorite videos I've ever done. Videos that I'm not proud of a lot of the stuff I make. I know a lot of the stuff I make is very blue collar, sit down, radio style stuff. My two favorite videos I've ever done were from this book. And it was on Return of the Living Dead, Necropolis, and Rave to the Grave, the two sci-fi movies. I learned everything about those movies and what happened and why they look cheap and why they are the way they are because of this book. And the story blew my mind. And this book gave me every bit of knowledge I could have. And I was able to make those videos and tell people about them, and people were receptive. They were like, I had no idea about any of my two favorite videos I ever did because of this book. So this is my favorite thing in my Return of the Living Dead collection is this book right here. Honest answer. I really love this book.
Very cool. That's a good answer. I like that. Now I got to look for it at a okay price.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyways, well, Christian, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, man.
I know Chris wanted to be here, but he had to close his store at work, so he wasn't able to make it. So he sends his apologies there. But yeah, dude, just tell people, promote whatever you want to promote right now, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously I've talked a lot about it, but I'll definitely bring it up again. You Need a Candles. We do have an Etsy page. That's where you can keep up with everything we do on there. Thank you very much. Look at that. And yeah, Planet CHH is my channel. I've opened my channel up. Of course, I'll talk about different stuff, non-horror, but obviously horror is a gigantic part of my life and who I am. So I do probably 90% that. I love deep diving on the history of stuff, the history of physical media, the history of movies, the behind the scenes and stuff like that. And I'm trying to keep up with new stuff because I'm going to talk about that with my friends anyway. So why not talk about it on my videos? So I do a lot of that. I've been covering a lot of the Jason universe stuff. And I'm a gigantic Friday the 13th collector. So I have a bunch of stuff on eBay that I got real cheap of bizarre little weird releases that I can't wait to talk about. Like I bought a DVD. Maybe one of you guys have seen this. I bought this DVD of Friday the 13th Part 2 when they were having this weird We Love the 80s promotion. And the DVD cover has got a bunch of like poppy colors and like big blocks and stuff. It says "We love the '80s," and it's when they had this. They did a few movies like this randomly, right when like Stranger Things came out in 2016. So I ordered some weird stuff like this. Then there were these weird releases where Funko Pops became gigantic, and everything was getting packaged with Funko Pops. And I ordered I love to catalog the history of Friday the 13th on home video. I'm obsessed with it. I love it. So I do a lot of that sort of stuff. So if anybody's interested in that, I do a lot of that. And that's where you can find me. Planet CHH on social media. I pretty much have everything. I'm trying to use X a little bit more because a lot of my YouTube buddies kind of use that. So I try to be a little bit more vocal on that as opposed to just dropping links. Got the Facebook page, but Instagram's where you can keep up with me the most on really more of my life than anything, than just what I got going on. So
Awesome.
That's it. But I had a great time tonight, guys. I
Yes.
was definitely wordy tonight, but like I said, I don't get to talk basically for the first 10 or 12 hours of the day. So
Well, it's your favorite film too, so
Yeah. We had to bring you on for it.
I do hope,
exactly.
really do hope that I inspired one of you guys to at least check out that DVD of Return of the Living Dead Part 2 or the Blu-ray, because I mean, if you go into that movie and just say, I'm gonna take what I get, like I'm just gonna, dude, I think you're gonna love it. I think it's one of the more rewatchable, fun zombie films with a
Well,
great track.
Christian, mine's coming tomorrow. I ordered it while you guys were talking about it, so
Good,
I'm
good.
excited. I'm
You'll
excited.
follow up with me. Even if you don't love it, that's fine. But I think you're gonna get something out of it.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, Christian, thank you for coming on. It was a lot of fun. We'll see you later. And then everyone in the chat, have a good one. And guys, we'll see you next time.
See ya.
guys.
See you
See you
guys.
next time, guys.
Peace.